Welcome back to Somm Saturdays. I'm still Wilson Cecil, a wine guy who works for Trevery Cellars in Washington State, here to discuss with you pairing sparkling wine and food. The last two videos have been long, and I'm hoping this one will be shorter. It's going to be in a little bit of a different style, hopefully a little bit quicker paced. We are going to talk from beginning to end about how I actually approach one of these videos and how I think about pairings. We're also going to be discussing contrasting and compounding pairing combinations. So let's get rolling and see how quickly we can get through some good information. For pretty obvious reasons, I start with wine. This wine is maybe my favorite that we produce. It's 100% Pinot Noir. It's what we call Blanc de Noir. That just means we have a dark-skinned grape that we press right away at the winery, so we end up with a clear juice. Therefore, Blanc, a white wine, de Noir, from dark-skinned grape. This is a brut wine, just like the Blanc de Blanc that we started with in that first video, but this is a little bit drier still than the Blanc de Blanc. And obviously, because we're dealing with Pinot Noir rather than Chardonnay, it has a different flavor profile. I tried to do this live without a voiceover, but it was a bit of a train wreck, so here we are back at the microphone. While I may not always start with wine in the future, for now that is square one for these videos. And I'm working my way through our core wines, which are always available to order from our website. Knowing that I want to find something to pair with the Blanc de Noir, I want to think through the flavors and textures of the wine. First, when it comes to flavors, I know that the acidity of this wine is its backbone. I'll be keeping that in mind for sure. The wine also has a distinct fruit flavor of strawberry and a subtle, pleasant note of earthiness, maybe just a kiss of mushroom. As far as texture goes, obviously we have the wine's carbonation, its acidity, and its relatively low alcohol. All of that adds up to a light, bright wine. Keeping all that in mind, we can look for a dish or dishes to pair. By default, the flavors and textures of the food are either going to be similar to or different from the flavors and textures of the wine. If they're contrasting flavors that enhance each other, we'll call them just that. If they're similar flavors or textures that will build on each other, we can think of them as a compounding pairing. In the column for compounding elements, let's start with flavor. Of course, we already have fruity and earthy notes in the wine. I also forgot to include yeastiness, which our wines pick up from the yeast used in the second fermentation that gives sparkling wines their fizz. For texture, we have that CO2 and bright acid. Here I just add bright and crisp as a couple adjectives I feel describe the wine. For contrasting flavors, my first thought is of the wine's fruit profile. Salty, savory notes contrast well with that. And even though the wine itself has fresh, bright flavors, I think there's an element of contrast between the Blanc de Noir's subtle earthiness with bright, fresh flavors in a food. As for texture, anything rich or creamy is going to contrast with the bright lightness of the CO2 and acid. Once I have all that in mind, I can brainstorm about possible combinations, and what I decided to do is pair the wine with two similar but different dishes, each with complementing and contrasting flavors and textures. We're going to put together two different Crostini, one focused on earthy flavors and one on fruity flavors. The first will be topped with mushroom bruschetta, the second with strawberry chutney. The mushrooms will bring out the earthy notes in the wine, but should find a good balance against the fruity aromas and flavors. The strawberry chutney should bring out the wine's fruity notes and balance with the earthy element in the Blanc de Noir. So that's right, two different types of Crostini, texture and the flavor to contrast and compound the Blanc de Noir. I think that there will be elements in both of them that work with and against, and so overall should be a pretty pleasant balance. There should be an interesting interplay. It doesn't have to be just one or just the other, so long as we're taking into account both the contrasting and the compounding elements of the tasting. I'm gonna knock out some bread. The mushrooms and the strawberries will be super quick. So hopefully by the end of this evening, we'll have a pairing and we can see how it plays. My final thought on this pairing is simply that it's great. I'm certainly biased in my personal taste, but for me, our Blanc de Noir always delivers. It's subtle and delicious. The interplay between fruit, earth, and acid on the palate is just so satisfying. And, as I'd hoped, these elements in the wine really did bring out the earthiness in the mushrooms and the sweetness of the strawberries. This is a combination that I will definitely be repeating. If you want to give it a try yourself, don't forget to drop by our website where we are still offering 1-cent shipping nationwide. As ever, thank you for watching, drop a like on the video, consider subscribing to Treveri's channel. But above all, until next time, stay safe and healthy.